This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, or you need some help setting up your audio, we are there to help you out there. So if you give us a shout, we'll have an Aircheck recording now, running now till 5, and then we'll post it later on YouTube, and you'll be able to go to YouTube and do a call letter search of Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page you'll find a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck. Today's date 3/1/19. My Group Aircheck at 3/1/19. This is KC9VKV.
Kilo Golf 5 Tango Bravo Tango. Kilo Golf 5 Tango Bravo Tango.
Kilo Golf 5 Tango, and repeat the rest.
Kilo Golf 5 Tango Bravo Tango.
Roger, roger. And what's the name there, please?
The name is Paul Peter Ado Uncle Lena.
Roger, roger, Paul. I'm copying you just a little bit off frequency. I'm not real sure what's going on there. It sounds like it might be low, but not a bunch, just a tad. Roger.
Jim, I talked to you last Friday, and I watched the videos, and I learned some things. And my transceiver has a clarification control that I didn't see when we were talking because my microphone blocks the view. So what would you like me to do? Go up O2?
Yes, in transmit. I need about, I think O2 would do it, but I'm not real sure, because sometimes it sounds like it goes in the opposite direction. But if you would like, try moving your transmit point O2 up. Roger.
I'm going to do it. O2 now. How does that sound?
Sounds better, sir. Sounds better. I think we're ballpark now. And where are you, sir? What's your location?
West Monroe, Louisiana.
I see. What's that close to?
Between Shreveport and Vicksburg.
I see. Well, you're giving me a beautiful signal there. It's about a 10 over. And is your power rating 100?
I have a Yazoo ST990, 26 years old. I have a 130-foot lazy blue long wire. It says SWR less than 10 through 80 meters, with one leg up 70 feet and an oak tree.
Roger. And what kind of power are you running?
100 watts.
Roger, roger. Well, FYI, you're listening to another Yazoo 990. I thought it was older than that. I thought it was 35 years old, Roger. But you know, it is equal to what work's been done to it. This is pretty heavily modified incoming and outgoing, Roger.
Well, I bought it on eBay for $550. And it may be older than 26 years old, but it was delivered basically perfect. My antenna is so good, I have the antenna tuner turned off. So you're actually using the ST990. You sound great.
Roger, roger. Well, I mean, it's for all the work that's gone into it, it's super linear receive mode, just from the very, very bottom frequencies to beyond its capability. I mean, as far as legal transmit, so it has a very, very broad, flat receive, and the transmit has been modified to give me about a 3. Well, this is a 990 is a 2.4. We're running about a 3 plus slightly.
Alpha Victor Tango. You're up by the manual. I have the original manual that came with it, and my ALC is up at the top of the range.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Yes, that's the place to be for sure. That 990 can take an excursion on the ALC. A lot of radios, when they start headed towards the the end of the line there, they start to break up quite a bit. The 990 can hold it right to the end there, and we usually run though just between mid-scale and 2/3. That's what I recommend running, Roger.
Well, I would say my LC, when I'm talking, it's actually going a little bit above.
Roger, Roger. Well, I don't hear any undue distortion, so I'm I'd say go for it, Roger. Usually, I mean, the thing that happens is you'll start getting distortion because the ALC is actually a limiter, and there's only a certain amount that you can expect a limiter to handle without distorting, because it is such a fast attack and release time. Unlike a compressor, which has got a much slower attack and release time, and therefore a compressor can do 20 dB work, whereas a limiter, you could only expect maybe 3-4 dB of limiting before you start hearing it, Roger.
What do you think about my compression? Now, I belong to the Night Watch net.
Stand by, Eric.
A couple of the guys to give me a reading on compression, and I've got it adjusted based on what they said sounded good. What do you think?
It sounds good to me. I don't know exactly how much you're running, but I tell you that the test is, if you're looking at your watt meter and you key down, you're in single sideband, and you key down, and the meter does not move up forward, which indicates that you don't have a lot of residual blow-by that you're sucking up from the next room and the kids and the elephants and the wife and the air conditioner, then you're all right. If it just slightly moves up off the line, you're all right. But if it goes on up an inch or 2 inches, on the meter, you got to realize that you're probably compressing and you're restricting your bandpass too much. Not bandpass, but your the dBs as far as your dynamic range, like unprocessed, you're probably running 10 dB dynamic range, and then as you start to process, your dynamic range starts to become limited, and the more you process, the more limited it is. And ideally, you want to hit about a 3 dB dynamic range, and then that's a pretty fat signal there, Roger.
I changed the meters to power, and it's bumping 100 watts.
Roger, 100 watts. Well, what you want to do, like I say, is, next time you're transmitting, if you just key the key without speaking, and then look at the residual RF level, you don't want to have much coming up on the meter. If you compress too much, that meter will start coming up, like a third or something like that, which is, really too much compression to be running, Roger.
Okay, I'm going to press the mic key, but just briefly, and see what it does. When I press the mic key, it actually goes down.
I'm not real sure how that would work. In other words, you have a zero level. If you're not transmitting, you're looking at your watt meter. The watt meter is reading at a certain place, and then when you key, it's got to have a little bit more there than it's resting no transmission position. Roger.
When I press the mic key, it goes down to 20 watts.
Before you press the mic key, you should not be transmitting at all. I mean, and you should have, that should be a zero resting place for your watt meter. With no transmission going on, it should be at a certain place. And then when you hit transmit, it should move forward some, even if you're not speaking, but very little, Roger.
Well, I don't have an ideal situation. My noise level is about S7 or S8.
Oh, I see. So your meter is reading your meter is reading incoming receive level, and then goes to transmit. I've got you. I was talking about. I thought you might have an external watt meter. Roger.
I do have an external SWR watt meter, but when I got this radio, it was all combined, and I took it off. It's not needed. But I watched the video, and I very much wanted to talk to you today again and get your critique. And if you think that there's anything I need to do, I appreciate you telling me. If you think it's right where it needs to be, then I'd like to hear that too.
Roger. Well, it's hard for me to really appraise the audio when the frequency is in question as much as it is. What I would suggest would be that maybe you contact somebody that runs a shop that would be handling maybe some slight modifications or tune-up on that radio, and see what they think about your operating frequency. Roger.
Well, I'm talking with the plus .02 increase.
Roger, and you know, go back to your 718900.
Okay.
Sorry, Eric.
Okay, I'm back to 00. Take your time.
Now he's on frequency.
All right, talk to me just a little bit there, Paul.
Okay. Well, I changed it back to 00, and I'll talk just a little bit and let you get a reading on it. We've got a nice, pretty day today, but we've got some rain coming.
Roger. It is a lot closer on frequency. Let's just go with it that way. And the audio sounds, you have about a 3 dB dynamic range, so I would say that you're right on top of it as far as where that audio needs to be. I would suggest just a little more top-end EQ. If you have a 3 adjustment EQ, I would go to I'd leave mid-range flat. I'd go to the top and punch up a couple of more dB on the top end EQ. Roger.
You're talking about compression?
No, equalization.
Okay, well, that's the process control, and I'm going to increase it slightly.
Well, now EQ is not, well, it's a part of processing, but it's not compression. It is frequency adjustment where you are actually tuning the response of the microphone through equalization as far as the top end and the bottom end, Roger. It's not compression as such.
Well, on this radio it's called clarification.
Now, clarification is a frequency adjustment. Equalization has to do only with transmit audio as far as modifying the frequency response of the microphone. Roger?
Okay, well, I have the Yazoo MD1 dynamic microphone.
Roger, I tell you, the more I listen to you, you're sounding pretty good. Maybe we'll just leave things alone. I think you're doing pretty good.
The EQ on that's going to menu.
Well, I'm very pleased at
I know, I bet.
ports, but I definitely wanted to let you listen and get your opinion.
Roger. Now, my opinion would be, and you may not like this, but I think for that microphone, you're doing pretty good. If you had EQ that you could crank in as far as equalization, that you could crank in, that would bring the brightness of the top end of that microphone out further, that would be great. But I have a suggestion, and I don't know if, how things are there, but if you ever had the possibility of getting a condenser desk mic, you would be amazed at the beautiful articulation capabilities of a condenser mic over a dynamic mic. Roger?
Well, I would like to do that. I've used this because it's worked very good, but if I can make it better, I don't mind spending a little money.
Roger that. Well, a condenser microphone is particularly well adapted to process upper end audio, much more so than a dynamic microphone. If you compare the two, to make the dynamic microphone somewhat close to a condenser microphone, you would probably have to take the full end of your top end EQ boost on the dynamic microphone to make it come up to somewhere better than the condenser microphone would be starting at a flat position. Roger?
Okay, I understand. Well, I can't adjust the EQ on the radio that I know of, and I don't think my microphone, so I'm stuck with what I've got. What do you think about the frequency? It's back to 0 now.
Roger, I think it's close. To me, it sounds like it might be slightly off, but we're only talking slightly. It's a lot closer to that than where we were. To me, it sounded like it might have been a tad low, but I've run into this before, and it's just a small thing there, and so I would just sally forth the way it is. I think your audio's right on target. Roger?
I'm glad to hear that, and I don't mind twisting knobs, and I just apologized last week. The microphone blocked the view of the clarification control, and I didn't have enough sense to remember it.
Roger that. Roger that. Yeah, well, I've been there. I used to run a Drake TR4C, and a lot of times that's the old true VFO situation there. You can wind up between the cracks on that kind of VFO, and where you're not actually moving at decimal points, you're moving at analog and fall between the cracks, man, places that well, anyway, and that TF4C, you're constantly playing catch up because it suggested that you let it run for half an hour. Well, that's maybe true, but who can sit there and wait for half an hour? So I just fire it up and start, and then just play catch up. Roger?
Okay, correct, my name is Paul, not Roger.
Roger, Paul. Or Paul, Roger.
One more question, Jim. What kind of condenser microphone do you suggest?
I'm not sure. Just one that... now, I'm sure that you don't have voltage on pin 1 or on your audio pin, so it's not going to be like, putting it on the 7300, which is already designed for condenser microphone and comes with a stock hand mic condenser microphone. When you would add a condenser microphone to that radio, you're probably going to have to get an outboard preamp with a condenser voltage, a phantom power supply in the mic preamp, such as ART preamp, about $50 was give you DC volts on the mic to run a condenser microphone. Roger.
Okay, well, I guess if I shop, I can look for condenser microphones that make it say backward compatible with the ST990.
Well, it wouldn't be. I mean, your radio does not furnish DC volts for the operation of a condenser microphone. That's what I'm saying. To run a condenser microphone on that radio, you're going to need an outboard preamp that furnishes phantom power supply to the condenser element. Roger?
Okay. And also, I might look at getting a better dynamic microphone.
You could, but I'd save my money for a condenser, Roger.
Okay. Well, look, I appreciate very much your information and critiquing my broadcast and whatever, and I enjoyed the QSO, and I'm going to thank you very much for what you've done.
Roger, Paul. Now, what's your location one more time?
West Monroe, Louisiana, home of Duck Dynasty.
Oh, right now he's Duck Dynasty, but not Duct Tape Dynasty. That's another story there. And Gorilla Tape is even a further story than that.
Well, I don't use duct tape anymore. I'm a 100% Gorilla Tape man.
Oh, yeah, Gorilla Tape's where it's at. I had to buy some Brand X tape the other day. For some reason, I had three major projects right in a row, and they all took Gorilla tape to solve the problem, and I ran out. Now, you don't want to run out of Gorilla Tape, but I had some old Brand X black tape, and oh man, it just I remembered all about that when I started using it, and how I swore I would never use regular tape like that again. But conditions warrant what you have to do, Roger.
Well, to show you my big use of Gorilla Tape, we have trees in the backyard, and I'll put a 9x12 sheet of plastic down, put one end taped up against the fence and half of it on the ground, and blow the leaves onto that, and then my wife and I will make a sausage out of it and tape it up with Gorilla Tape, and then I carry it out to the road. And the actual test is when the claw comes to pick up trash on Monday, and it picks it up and it doesn't come apart, I'm pleased.
Roger, yes. And the other thing is super glue, and there's one other thing, but I can't recall right at the moment. But anyway, Paul, let me say threes down that way. You are sounding good, sir, and keep your mind on maybe getting a condenser mic. You really love it, but not necessary, not mandatory, but just a thought for you. So we'll say threes for now, and we'll catch you later. You have a good day, sir. And Eric is out there. Eric, you got a copy?
Absolutely. Good afternoon to you there, KC9VKV. This is W4AVT, and the signals, they seem pretty good today.
Yes, well, I was thinking so, but I was talking to Charlie there earlier. He's up around the Canadian border, and things weren't going well for him, Roger. I mean, it was just really not a good signal. And normally but he had me copied pretty well, but I usually copy him about a 10 over and a 12 over, and he was only about a 5. So it was one of those anomalies where you have conditions going one way, Roger.
Oh yeah. Well, at one point, you were up there around 10 or 15 over 9 while you were talking to that gentleman you just finished with.
Roger that. And what kind of stuff are you running right now?
I'm running the Yaesu Fox Tango FT1000 MP Mark V with about 50 watts drive to a Kenwood Tango Lima 922 Alpha Kenwood amp, doing about 1 kW with the PAL Star tuner, obviously, and then inverted B dipole with the dynamic Heil PR781. I saw this condenser mic out there called an MDX. I think it was an MDX 90 or 91 XL. But it is a condenser mic, and I don't know. I might play around with maybe bringing that into the ham shack and just do some experimenting between the two.
Roger. Well, I'd love for you to give me a call there on Friday afternoon, like we are, and when you get that mic, and we'll just take a little time and compare mics. What I would hear, I'm sure, would be a whole different range of syllabox, the top end audio where you're the S range, just very articulated. That's the name of the game as far as condenser mic is concerned. I'll give you my interpretation between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic. Right now, I'm talking on a condenser mic. I am talking on a condenser mic right now, and I'm going to show you a demonstration of what maybe a dynamic mic would sound like. All right, now I'm talking on theoretically a dynamic mic. As you can hear, it has very limited top end, a little bit of mid-range, but it's like you're in another room. And then when you go to the condenser mic, it's like you open the door and walk in.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I like that. But and God knows it did take a while for me to do some adjustments here on this microphone with my radio settings and all that stuff. But yeah, I think I finally did get it to a point where it sounds pretty darn good. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind bringing a condenser mic like that one in here. I don't know. I'm not sure what the brand or the manufacturer name of that mic is, but have you heard of that one? MDX 90XL or 91XL, something like that.
No, man. Numbers and letters and all that just goes right past me. I got no idea. I just saying, a condenser mic. And will you radio? Do you have voltage on your mic input?
Yeah, not that I see. I mean, no. I mean, nowhere on this mic do I see that. It has the area on the back of it to plug in the XLR cable, and that's it.
Roger. So if you were to try a condenser microphone, you would need voltage to make it work. Condenser microphones need a fan and power supply. So what I'm saying is you would need probably a preamp that would furnish voltage for the condenser microphone. Roger?
Yeah, okay, well, that's no big deal. I'll definitely, make sure I do all my homework on, what I need, and I'll make sure that I, add that into the cost factor. But, yeah, I mean, they have these going for like, it depends, but, new, they're a couple hundred or more, but depending on, what type or what name brand you get, but I mean, I've seen some out there for $70, $80, $100, and just to try one and hook it up to one of those $50 preamps and then see how it would do here on this on my radio. That would be interesting. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to tell you this: the last transmission that you just made, you were up there around 1520 over S9.
I'll take that. And I've got a circuit for you if you've got a pen and pencil or pencil and paper or however that works, to take a high level into a mic level. It's simplicity personified. You bridge out of the line level preamp with a 10k ohm resistor, and you bridge into your radio with a 10k ohm resistor, and you short between those two resistors to ground with whatever level of resistor it takes to make your level come out at about 1030 on your input pot for mid-level on your ALC. Roger?
Ooh. All right, that's interesting information.
Roger, this is called a double bridge. You're bridging out of your preamp, you're bridging into your radio mic level, and so you're always going to be 10K load on your preamp and always going to be 10K above ground going into your mic input. It's amazing because when you start getting to low impedances and you start balanced input and you start 600 ohm load resistor onto your input, you're looking for ground loops. I mean, you're going to wind up with ground loops or RF or whatever. I have found that when you bridge in at 10K into that mic input, that's the best way to do it. And then you find the level or the resistor that you need to go to ground between those two resistors where they're tied together. And so you're looking at 10K one way, 10K the other way for all practical purposes, and you wind up with the right level going in.
Wow, that is incredible. Yeah, thanks for that information, man. That is definitely good information to have. So, yeah, now, as far as right now, how do we seem to be doing out your way today?
Like about 15 over signal wise, and your audio is well balanced because it being a dynamic, it does not have the articulation that a condenser mic would be. But to stay balanced, then, because of the absence of those upper end frequencies, you've rolled out the bottom end frequencies, so the microphone is balanced. If you've got a bunch of top end, then you can bring a bunch of bottom end in, and you still have balance. But if you don't have that super top end, then you're going to have to roll off some of the bottom to keep relative balance in the audio spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it is so interesting the way all that stuff works. I'm going to bet you the majority of people out here probably, that probably confuses the heck out of them, I bet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe, a lot of people out here do understand all that. But I know I talk to a lot of fellow hams out here, here and around the world that I'm talking with that, sometimes they need to talk to someone like yourself who really has some pretty darn good knowledge on this subject.
Well, there's nothing more interesting, I don't think, than audio. I love a top end, and the thing is, I have found that when you're talking about HF, it all moves by skywave. There's nothing that's moving by ground wave. So it's all going to take a bounce to the received position. And in taking a bounce, there's not just a piece of metal up there that reflects the whole thing back to that one position. There is a very complex amount of stuff that will be reflecting signals back to Earth. Not all of them are at the same altitude. And so what happens is possibly when you have a main mother load of reflection coming down, but you have secondary and tertiary reflections coming down at slightly different speed, and because there are maybe higher reflections, they're coming back at a slightly different speed. And so when they join at the other end at your received position, they are coming in at different phase angles. And what happens is that sometimes when the blow-by reflections start increasing in level, they start really to chomp away at the primary reflection as far as phase angle cancellation. And that cancellation starts at the upper end of the audio spectrum and moves its way down through the audio spectrum. So in that regards, the first thing that's going to get canceled is the upper end of the audio range, and that is all of your syllabics. So because of that, I usually crank in a little bit more syllables than what I figure is necessary, because I know that syllabic range cancellation is going to occur at some point to some degree, and I want to be heard or understood, and when you lose that syllabic range, you're particularly if you're down towards the noise level, then your audio is not too much above the noise level, and if it's not articulated, then it'll be very difficult to perceive exactly what's being said. The more articulated your audio is when you're immersed into the noise level, the easier it's going to be for somebody to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, isn't that true?
So I've been in a lot of murky places.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love your setup there, and I've always loved that FT990. I have one, and I mean, it was a great radio. Just a workhorse of a radio, really nice radio. And then the SB220, well, I mean, that's just, I love that amp. It's a nice amp. I have one behind me here, and it's a nice amp. So, I keep forgetting now, what are you using for antenna out there?
I am using an inverted V, being fed at about the 35-foot level, and about 2.5 feet to 3 feet off from the tower. In other words, I have the feed point suspended away from the tower about 2.5 to 3 feet, and because of that, and my tuning method of doing SWR adjustments on the ground side of the inverted V and bringing it back on frequency on the high side of the inverted V, you can keep going back and forth like that till you arrive at the frequency that you're looking for, like center band, at a 0.01 to 1. Roger?
Oh man, that is amazing. Yeah, today between you and I'll say this much: between you and I, man, the signal propagation seems to be just fine for us.
Roger. Now, what do you figure the distance is between us? About 300 miles, 350?
I would definitely guess that's a good guess. I'll definitely check. I'll check after we're done here, but I wouldn't doubt that's probably a good guess.
Roger. Let's see. Boy, I tell you what, my tablets have gone to sleep. That ticks me off. I'm still working, and they're sleeping, and they have a sleep control. I don't know. I was going to go down to West Palm Beach and see how you're doing down there. Hang on just a minute. Let me see if I can revive this turkey and do West Palm Beach. And coming up there. And let me bring the audio levels up and up there. And come back and let me hear you in West Palm. Eric, give me a little audio, sir.
Okay, I'm all set when you...
All right, just tell me about your antenna, Roger.
So we're using an inverted V over here, inverted V dipole up in the backyard, and I would say from where the coaxial cable goes in, all the way on the tippy top of that bead point area is probably about 40, somewhere between 40-50 feet off the ground, and so that is about it. Each leg of that inverted V, if you want to call them that, they are probably about 10 to 15 feet off of the ground surface. So that is about it, and it seems to do a really good job for me.
Okay, I was just, that audio there was from West Palm Beach. You were doing a 10 over in West Palm Beach, Roger?
In West Palm Beach. Well, that's not so bad.
No, it's pretty good. Let me see what I'm doing down there. Audio check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's see if there's any latency. There is a little latency. I got about 4 seconds I can back off. This is KC9VKV in West Palm.
KC9VKV in West Palm.
I was doing about a 10 over also. Of course, I'm closer.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, here into Northern Virginia, you've been very good signal strength the whole time. I mean, 5.9 up to, like I said, that, one of your transmissions was all the way up there around 15-20 over at one point. That was pretty cool.
Roger. Well, we're in an ideal situation geographically to get a pretty primary signal from Montreal to Miami and New York to New Mexico,
Yeah, roger that. A lot of since you've been on today?
I'm sorry, I was SDRing and come back with the last.
I said, have you had a lot of people calling in today so far?
No, I've been blowing all my time with you, Ben.
Well, we better let some other people jump in here, man. I I definitely, I know there's probably other people in there listening, and I just, definitely want to let them get in there and, pick your mind about audio quality information and testing and all that good stuff. So, and I'll stand by in here and listen in for darn sure, but always good to talk to you, my friend, out there on the Indiana-Kentucky line. 73, listening from you in here to Sterling, Virginia. Great signal, no doubt there. And audio, superb. So, 73 to KC9VKV from W4ABT, and that does it. I'll stand by and let you talk to some other people here and just kind of listen in. Take care, my man.
Roger, Eric. Now, believe it or not, you faded out on me on my local situation, and so I copied that last from West Palm at a 10 over. So, a great signal, man. So you have a good afternoon. Thanks for checking in, and if you get a chance, check in next Friday, man. We'll compare notes and see what's happening. Threes. This is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio that you want to check the audio, give us a shout. And we are recording right now. I'm playing catch up with one of my notebooks. But if you notepads, if you want to give us a shout, we are recording. This is KC9VKV.
Hi, Oscar Bravo Whiskey.
Oscar Bravo Whiskey, come back again with your call sign, please.
Yes, sir. This is Kilowatt Bravo 5, Oscar Bravo Whiskey.
Roger. What's the name, please?
All right, the name is Bill Bravo India Lima. We spoke about, maybe a year or so ago, maybe sooner than that, but anyway, I forgot the name there. I have to apologize, Roger.
Okay, you kind of went towards my noise at that just the last few words. If you could repeat those, please.
Roger. Okay, well, if the band's not going to allow us, I'll just let somebody else get in here, Roger.
It was just a temporary dump, I think. You're doing pretty well now. Repeat the question, though.
What's the name there?
Oh, the name here is Jim, Julie, and India Mike. Sometimes I forget, but basically it is Jim, and we're located near Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger.
Okay, Jim, fine business. Name here is Bill, and I'm down in Louisiana. I guess about 70 miles north of New Orleans in Kentwood, Louisiana. And I don't want to hold you too long. I'm sure that some other people want to get a signal report or audio report. And I have a little ICOM 7600 here that I'm running an 811 from Marathon. I guess about 300 watts out, Jim. And I only have two audio controls on this radio. It's tone or treble talk. And I'd like to see if what's your thoughts on the audio levels, Roger?
I'm looking at your audio level. I went to Milford, PA SDR, and looking at your audio level, you have a really good modulation there. Looked to be about 3 dB dynamic range. What's the radio? Is that a 7610 or a 76?
Yeah, it's a 7600.
Oh, roger that. Now, I'm not really familiar with that. Does it have a 2-band EQ on it?
Yes, sir. It only has a bass control and a treble control, Roger.
I was listening to it. There is a discrepancy between SDR audio and my ultra-flat audio on my receiver, and on the SDR, they kind of roll off the bottom end around 200 cycles or so. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but I've got a better copy per se on the Milford SDR, but let me see what I can do on my receiver. Come back and tell me about your antenna system.
Jim, you and me have almost the exact same setup. I'm an inverted V up at about 40 feet, and it's extended about 2 feet off the tower. And the legs, I want to say, are about 20 feet off the ground. And seems to be a pretty good antenna. I've had lots of luck with it, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Now, I would suggest if you cranked in a couple of clicks more on the top end of your EQ, on the top end of your EQ, a couple of clicks more, and then we'll see what that sounds like.
All right. Okay, Jim. My EQ on my tone control was at about a +2. Now I'm at about a +4 there, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I would say run with it like that for sure, Roger.
Roger, Roger. And my bass control is about a +2. So that's the setup here, Roger.
Yeah, I would leave everything just like it is and run it that way for a while. And let me, let's see, you've got a mic. Do you have a compressor on board?
No, sir. Well, let's see here. I do have a compressor. I never use it, Jim. Let me see. I'm looking right now. Yeah, I have a compressor. It says SY.
All right. I would put that, I would engage the compressor and put it on about a 3. I would engage the compressor and put it on about a 3, Roger.
All right, Jim, let me look at this real quick. Well, the compressor's on, but I'm not sure how to adjust it. I'm not sure it's on. The compressor on wide, Roger.
Roger. Now, does wide refer to your bandpass or to the? Does that have narrow and wide bandpass adjustments?
I think so. You know, I never used the thing, Jim, to be honest with you. You know, I've always had good audio reports without it, so I've never really looked into it, to be honest with you.
Roger. It's in now, though, Roger?
No, sir. It's off right now.
All right. I guess the main thing would be to check to be sure that you're in the widest bandpass possible for your radio, 100 to 2900. Roger?
Roger, Roger. Well, it says compressor. Well, it says compressor off wide, but I think I am, Jim. I think I looked through that, and I've gone through the menu and tried to set that up, and I believe I do have it on the widest audio range, Roger.
Roger, because like the 7300, if there are 3 different places where bandwidth shows up, and if any one of those places is in a lower range, it will default to that lower range. So you just got to be sure that you're operational on the widest bandpass possible. I mean, that's what you want. You don't want to start restricting. There's no reason that you can't be out to 2900, 3K in that range. I would say run it that way.
Roger, Roger. Well, it's the compressor's off right now. Usually on my older rigs, when I ran the compressor, they said it was just a little bit too much, Jim. So I'm not sure about this radio, but I've really never ever used it, Jim. Does it distort the audio any with the compressor on?
It shouldn't. What I recommend is just a 3. 3, just a very minimum compression, but it does help to start to fatten up your dynamic range or your audio. I usually recommend just running that compressor at a 3. So it might take a note, compressor on 3, when you figure out where it is and how to adjust it. There should be a very minimum amount of compression. Most people would never even hear it. That's the whole idea.
Roger, Roger. Okay, Jim, it sounds good. I won't hold you too much longer. At least I got the bass and treble set up, so go and check out the compression. So maybe next week we'll get the compression figured out, and we'll visit you at that time. Roger?
Sounds good to me, sir. Sounds good. And you do too. So we'll say 3s for now. And you have a good afternoon and evening. And we'll catch you next Friday. Roger?
All right, Jim, 73, and thank you very much. KB5OBW 73.
Roger, Bill, 3s that away. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program, or network, or show, or whichever way it turns out. But we are recording, and if you have a radio you want to check the audio on, give us a shout. We, like I say, are recording, and we'll post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days, and you will be able to go there and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're running almost 500 QSO-VLOGs right now, but on page 1, hopefully you will find a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 3119. Today's date, My Group Aircheck 3119. This is KC9VKV.
And KC9VKV, welcome back. Yeah, this is W4ABT again. I was saying 73s, and then all of a sudden I lost you, and I was like, whoa, what happened?
I must have had the abandoned version.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were doing a test, like trying to transmit from another location or something. Can you do that with the SDR stuff that you're working with over there?
No, that's just for the receiver. A different point of view as far as the receive capability. You know, we had such 100-watt stations right now at the cycle of this 40-meter situation is not good. So a lot of 100-watt stations coming 300 to 400 miles away. When we had the show in the morning, they were coming in about 1 or 2 dB above our noise level. So we moved to afternoon and we picked up a little bit. So usually now, 100-watt stations 300 to 400 miles away are coming in at about 4 or 5 dB above my noise level. So I can hear them pretty well, Roger. Roger, Eric. Yeah, you did fade out too. So Mother Nature is playing her silly games. Mother Nature's playing her silly games and just taking it all away. She says, now, what are you going to do? I'm taking my marbles and going home. Roger, Eric, this is called a 50 dB hit. We are experiencing a 50 dB hit. Roger. You are under my noise level, if you can imagine that. So that's what a 50 dB hit will do. You just disappear from the scope. I'm not sure in how many different directions it went, though. Usually, Mother Nature at least opens up other areas as she closes off some. So maybe, let me see what I'm doing. Let's see, down in, I'm not sure where I am here. SDR-wise, I think this is West Palm.
And saying 73s, and thank you very, very much, as always, for the Friday afternoon vlog hour. Really, really enjoy it, love it, and appreciate it. And hope that there are some stations out there that can benefit from it out there within that 300 to 500, 300 to 600 mile range, or maybe even further away than that, depending on the propagation of the band. 73s to my man, KC9VKV. This is W4ABT in Sterling, Virginia. Take care.
Roger, Eric. Yeah, I had to go to the West Palm Beach SDR to copy you. You were still a 10 over in West Palm Beach, whereas you have faded out to me directly. I went to the West Palm Beach SDR, and you're 10 over there. And hello, 123. Let me see what I am.
Hello, 123. Let me see what I am.
I am also about 12 dB over down in West Palm, so she may have closed us off, directly, but we're still radiating down the East Coast. Roger.
Yeah, down the East Coast. Roger.
This is Bill. When you get a chance.
Okay, station. Go ahead with you got the chance.
Okay, Jim, this is Bill, KB5OBW, and I did find that compression level. If you wouldn't mind, I'd just like to set it real quick. Let's see, right now it's set at level 5 right now, Jim.
All right, you want to move it to a level 3. Move it to a level 3.
All right, Jim, it's on level 3, and it is set on wide. I got narrow, medium, and wide, and it is set on wide. Roger?
Roger that. Now, you might want to check on your equalization. You don't have equalization, that's Roger?
No, I just have the bass and the treble. That's it.
Roger. It sounds good, man. Sounds good. You have about a 2.5 dB dynamic range now, which is a really fat signal. And the equalization for not having equalization sounds good, Roger?
Roger. Okay. Well, you're the one that has the magic ear, so if you says it sounds good, I surely take your word for it, Jim.
Roger. I would run it like that, and and then we'll compare notes next Friday if you get a chance.
Roger. Okay, Jim. 73, and thanks a lot. KB5OBW.
Roger, Bill. 3's that way, sir. Have a good afternoon. We'll catch you next Friday. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. Decided that's probably more true than show or program. Our QSO-VLOG network, where we record between 3:30 and 5, and then in a couple of days we post it up on YouTube. And if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
WB3 Whiskey 3 Oscar Hotel.
There was somebody that did a little snort into the microphone. Who was that?
Whiskey 3 Oscar Hotel, QSL.
Oscar Hotel Station. Come back with your call sign again, please.
Yeah, Whiskey 3 Oscar Hotel.
Roger. What's the name?
Name here is David.
Roger. David, sounds good. Where are you, sir?
I'm up in southern Maryland.
Oh, Roger. Well, you're sounding beautiful. I'm on my local receiver, and it looks like you're about a 10 over, Roger.
Yeah, Roger that. You're 5.9 plus. You're 10 over as well. Been listening to you for the last hour. Been very educational. I've been really enjoying it.
Oh, Roger. Well, sometimes we get lost in quicksand and have to try to talk our way out of it, Roger.
Oh no, I've enjoyed all of it. I'm in the process of playing around with my receive audio and not so much my transmit audio, but playing around with the receive audio. And I had just gotten a SDR play module and the pan adapter and using all that. It's been kind of fun.
Roger. Well, if you ever want to double check your receive audio flatness, get you a good waveform monitor in the standpoint of a frequency monitor, so you can just put that and then take your receiver and dial it to a place where there is no audio, no transmissions, and just turn the audio up and look at the bandpass. And you want to be linear across the bandpass from, say, 200 cycles to 4 KC or 3 KC, Roger?
Yeah, Roger that. I'm probably a little wide right now, probably going against ham ethics. I should be pretty wide. I've been playing around with a setting today and just kind of listening to it on my own monitor, but sometimes it's hard to to see, to hear that when you're talking at the same time. I'll probably back it off because I'm probably pushing over the 3 kilohertz mark.
Roger. Well, that's the thing. Do you have a bandpass marked 100 to 2900 or 100 to 3K?
I do. I can go back to 100 to 3K. I think I might be at 4,000 right now.
Roger. Yeah. The trick, the challenge, is to be at 3K, but still have enough top end that you can hear the syllabic range and be very well articulated. I mean, obviously somebody could open to 10 and they'd say, hey, it sounds great, although you do incur or lose a lot of friends when you're that wide, Roger.
Yeah, exactly. I checked the wave waterfall there to make sure I wouldn't be too wide. I just switched it back to 100 to 3,000 QSO.
Roger. Now you're running a condenser microphone, Roger?
Jim, I don't think this is a condenser microphone. It's a Yaesu MD100.
It does have a nice top end. I mean, it's got, usually a better top end than most dynamic microphones if it is a dynamic microphone. What is the radio you're running?
It's the Yaesu FT-DX3000. I do have the processing turned on.
Sounds good. I would run it like that. I don't think you need the extra bandwidth. I would just hold it right to 3K. It sounds beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The one I was going to ask, I heard you mention you were using your SDR to receive. I'm running SDR Uno, and while occasionally I can get a better, I can understand a little bit better on the SDR Uno than I can on the receiver, the noise level is just very high.
Roger. Well, maybe I should clarify that. I've got a couple of Amazon Fire tablets that I'm using to hook up with internet SDRs, and I can get closer to some folks that I'm listening to where I have a lousy signal with them on my local radio. I can reach out through the internet SDRs and get a better copy. Now, all those are on a 6-position rotary input selector to my mixer, so I just take the audio outs of the tablets and run them into my selector, and they come up just like my local HF receiver, Roger.
Oh yeah, that's actually a great idea. I've been doing a little bit of that, although I haven't really successfully made any contacts while using one of the web SDR sites, but I've been experimenting with that. But interestingly, Jim, I am expecting a mixer today and tomorrow just to play around with.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, well, we use one for recording, and I am on one mic channel from the. It's the same mic that's going into my radio. I have a 6-position. I love 6-position rotary switches because you can put a bunch of stuff on them and you can check their situation within a second and a half. You can run 6 positions, just zip, and you've checked 6 things of similar value but slightly different, and you can hear the differences as you go through them and go back to the best one. Roger?
Yeah, copy that. Yeah, should have a fun evening playing around with the 2 mixers and see if I need it. But even if I don't need it from the sound quality aspect, I thought it would be pretty cool to do something similar to what you're doing, being able to run the sound out of the transceiver and the SDR to the same set of speakers left and right.
Oh, Roger that. Yeah, it's really neat, and like I say, I'm using, for instance, I'm using the HF. My HF receiver is position 1, Position 2 is Rochester SDR. Position 3 is the Raleigh SDR. Position 4 is the Milford PA SDR. So I can check those just probably within a second, which I occasionally do on the air, and you can hear it as I zing through those, trying to find the best reception. Roger.
Yeah, definitely. I can see how that would be very convenient as opposed to flipping through web pages on Microsoft Edge or Chrome. Actually, I've been using Microsoft Edge because I don't think Chrome's audio works quite right. Hey, Jim, where are you picking up those SDR websites? I've been using Web SDR, but I was looking for one you were talking about, the West Palm Beach, and I didn't see it, so they must be on individual IP addresses.
The main list is it's called SDR.HU. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that's my abbreviation in my favorites. So anyways, in my favorites, bookmarks actually, in my bookmarks, I have my favorites, which is about 15 SDRs, and then I also have a second entry called SDR.HU, and that SDR.HU is SDRs from around the country and around the world, Roger.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just pulled that up. Wow, there's a lot more in here than there is in the Web SDR. So, okay, wow, you just gave me something else to play with.
Oh, Roger. Now, if you get thing is, if you get a tablet, if you get like I've got a Amazon Fire tablet, that is when I'm sitting in my favorites, I can select an SDR from my favorites, and from the tap of when I select it to where it's fully displayed is about 6 seconds.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive for the that Fire tablet. I didn't realize they were that fast.
Oh yeah, but you know it. I've got 2 of them, and sometimes it's really tough to play with them and still be still be available for a conversation. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there have been many times I've missed my hollering out my call sign while I'm trying to get somebody because I've been playing around.
Fire? What fire?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jim, look, I don't want to keep you. It sounded like you had quite a few people probably trying to catch you. You've given me quite a few things to check out. I will. And can you fill me in just a little bit? This is the first time I've talked to you, but where on YouTube do you have a channel?
Yeah, go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll find a QSO that's marked My Group Aircheck 3119. That's today's date. My Group Aircheck 3119. That'll be the full hour-and-a-half recording, Roger.
Yeah, copy that. I appreciate that. It's pretty cool. Well, look, Jim, I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking to you, and I look forward to the recording. And also enjoyed the conversations you had with the hams before me. It was educational. So thank you.
Roger. Well, let me say threes there, and you have a good afternoon. This is KC9VKV. Something ending in alpha.
K3 Echo Alpha, over.
K3 Echo Alpha. Is that a Roger?
Yeah, you got it. Name here is Greg. I'm in eastern Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
Roger, Greg. I wish I wrote faster, but I can only write so fast, Roger.
Okay, real good. Yeah, running about 800 watts here into a vertical antenna, but you're 5.9, peaking a little bit over that. And I think I heard the name was Jim. Is that right?
That's a Roger. That's a Roger. And what kind of radio are you running?
I just got a new radio. It's a Flex, and so I hadn't really had anybody tell me what the audio sounded like yet. So back to you.
What's the numbers? Flex what?
6400.
Roger, Roger. I was just looking at Flexes here recently. You know, Flex is the only radio that I know of that comes out with a HDMI connection to go right to a 4K TV monitor.
Okay, well, the model I got does not have that. I got the model without the monitor on the front, but you can still run it you can still run it with the computer and put whatever monitor you want on that. I'm actually running it with the remote Maestro, if you're familiar with that.
Roger, no, Maestro is, I thought that was the transceiver part, but that is a monitor?
Yeah, the Maestro is the remote unit. It's about, I'd say about 14 inches wide by 6 inches high, and it has an 8-inch touch screen on it, and a couple knobs, about a dozen or so knobs and buttons.
Roger, and you're sure that that doesn't have a HDMI output to a large screen?
No, it's the 6400M, as in Mike, has the output for a large screen, but that's a different model, and that's the model that has actually the touch screen built into the radio. My radio has nothing on the front panel but a blue light.
Roger, Roger. Okay, we're talking about modulation now. You're looking fairly unprocessed. To be fatter, I would suggest engaging the compressor at about a 3 to begin with.
Okay, I missed it. Someone came in the room. So give me your suggestion again, please.
I'm sorry, we had a condition here. Try it again.
Yeah, I didn't hear your last transmission with your suggestion. Someone had walked into the room. Can you repeat that, please?
Roger, I would suggest to begin with putting the compressor in line and putting it at about a 3. Just barely in there, but a compressor at about a 3. I'm assuming that's a 0 to 10. So on a 0 to 10 scale, you would want to put that compressor in at about a 3.
Okay, right now it doesn't go 0 to, it just has 3 settings. I just moved it up to the top setting. Let me know if that changed anything.
Okay, you're in the 100 to 2900 or thereabouts bandwidth?
Yeah, it's set from 100 to 2900, and then the processor's on, and it's maxed out. I can put more mic gain in. That's about the only other control I have, except for I can do some equalization as well.
Okay, before we do that though, what I would suggest is, you don't have any numbers on the compressor? It's either in or out?
It says it's either on or off, and then there's 3 settings: normal, which is at the low end, DX, and DX plus.
Okay, just engage it at the normal mode. Just the normal mode, Roger.
Okay, it's turned down. The processor's on, but it's in normal right now.
All right. Then what kind of situation do you have with mic gain? Where's it setting?
So right now the mic gain's on 40 out of 100.
All right. Put that on about 50, 55, and then we'll look at the ALC.
All right. There's about 55. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 55.
All right. Now look at your ALC. You want to be mid-scale to 2/3.
When you say ALC, hold on, let me get that. Okay, ALC, I'm getting nothing on the ALC right now, so I can go up with the mic gain and still getting nothing.
Are you sure you're monitoring ALC?
Goes out to the amp.
I'm sorry?
Scale?
I think we're doubling a bunch. What's the deal on your ALC?
Yeah, the ALC is in volts. So I'm on the compression scale, and it's just about pegging it.
What's happening on the actual ALC meter? Is it mid-scale or what?
I'm sorry. It's about mid-scale.
All right, and tell me about your antenna just for a minute.
Okay, running a full quarter wave vertical. It's elevated at about 8 feet, and it has two full quarter wave radials on it. So it's situated about 150 feet of coax from the house, and it runs pretty flat across the whole band. Back to you, over.
Roger, and were you watching your ALC as you spoke that last time?
I mean, it's pretty much, it's going all the way up into the full amount of the red scale. I mean, I'm looking at the ALC scale. It's labeled 0 to minus 25 dB compression.
Oh, well, that would be the compressor. ALC is a limiter, and you would have a ALC scale. On your multimeter, you would have an ALC scale. It might not be all the way from one end to the other end. The ALC might be from all the way to the left to the center, but the ALC scale should be noted on the meter.
Oh, okay, I found it. It reads 0 to 4 volts. I'm getting no reading on it whatsoever.
You have a meter just for ALC, is that it, Roger?
Yeah, it says ALC, and it's just reading, it says 0 to 4, 0 on one end and 4 volts on the other end. And then I have another scale labeled level, which I'm not sure what that is. And that reads from minus 40 dB to 0 dB.
Roger, but that meter is definitely labeled ALC, Roger?
Yeah, there's one labeled ALC, and it goes from minus 4 volts on one end to 0 volts on the other end. So I don't know if that's ALC, like for feedback from an amp, though. I have to read the manual.
All right. What's your mic level right now?
It's still around 55.
I would bring it back to 50. Bring it back to 50 and talk to me for a minute.
Okay, I just moved it down about 10 notches or so. And it'll give you some audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Roger. It doesn't seem to quite catch the peaks as well as it should. In other words, it is by and large staying at a peak position, but then there are occasions where there are peaks that punch on through there, and that's not good. You want what's called a stonewall limiter, where you set a position and you can stand on your head and have very little blow-by past that point. That's a good limiter, where it just, every peak comes to that one place and stops. You don't have any peak excursions that continue on past that point. And I am seeing you where you have a majority of your peaks are stopping at one place, but occasionally there are peaks that punch on through there, and that would not classify as being a stonewall limiter, Roger.
Okay, I got you. So would you suggest turning the mic gain down a little further?
Well, I don't know. It's the thing that is bewildering is that you don't have your ALC reading. I tell you what, I would run it, I think, like that for a while until you can delve into your ALC and figure out why you're not getting a reading on it, Roger.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I appreciate the help. Again, the compression is, not the compression, the equalization section, it emphasizes, looks like it emphasizes the highs, and that was set just the factory default, so I haven't messed around with that yet.
I think you're doing pretty well on the equalization. It sounds pretty nice. It sounds balanced and articulated. So, I would run with it the way it is. And then maybe between now and next Friday, you can do some reading and figure out where we are on the ALC, and we'll bring that under control. And then we'll tackle the mic EQ, Roger.
Okay, well, sounds good. I appreciate your help, and and appreciate you taking the time, Jim.
Roger, Roger. That's what we hope for. If, if you can, check back next Friday, and we'll try again. Work on different aspects. Hopefully, the ALC is the heart of the radio. It will tell you what's going on. You could be blind, well, not blind, but if you could put your finger inside the ALC meter reading and just feel that meter touch your finger, you wouldn't even need to see what's on the mic level. You just turn the mic level up until that meter starts banging your finger and at the mid scale, and then you know you pretty much got it, because you want to set the radio up to where everything is comfortable, and again, that ALC will tell you exactly what's going on level-wise. Roger.
Okay, well, good. Well, I'll crack the manual out, but I heard you in there, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Again, appreciate the help.
Roger, Roger. 3 that way. Have a good afternoon. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor in the afternoon QSO-VLOG program. We are rapidly headed towards becoming a pumpkin at 5 o'clock. Maybe we can take one more. Anybody out there want to get the radio checked? Give me a shout. Bravo Oscar Station. Come back.
X-ray Bravo Oscar. Good afternoon, Jim. It's Bart in Meaford, Ontario.
Roger, Roger, Bart. Where's that windscreen?
Oh, maybe I was talking too much into the microphone. Back to my 11-meter days. I thought I was throwing... It's the TS-940 microphone.
Roger that, Roger that. Is that a condenser or dynamic?
It's a condenser. It's the stock microphone. I believe it's a condenser mic.
For the 7300?
No, the TS-940 Kenwood.
Gotcha. Well, they're making windscreens now very short. They used to make them about 6 inches long, and you could put them over, over a microphone, and it would cover half the microphone. Now they're making them that are about 3 inches long, so they're almost ideal for like hand mic, or they'll fit almost any mic, even the hand mics, and that just solves so much of the problem of what happens when you work a condenser mic close,
Okay, very good, very good. This is behind the windscreen right now. It's a double professional windscreen. I don't know if this makes any difference.
Oh, yeah. Now, why would you ever take that off?
Oh, no, it's not part of the microphone. I have a different professional microphone that is not hooked up to the radio. It's used for something else, for professional recording.
Roger. Well, I would steal it for your HF when you're operating HF. I would just steal it, Roger.
Okay, very good. Well, it's easy enough. Anyways, I just wanted to hear the TS-940 and see what you think.
Oh, yeah, crazy me. When I hear a lot of, lip noise blow by and all that stuff, it just is so difficult to actually hear what's going on, because sometimes your transient distortions are louder than the primary audio. And that's why when you put that windscreen on, you take all of the garbage out, and there's nothing left but the words. Roger?
Roger. Oh, it's a good idea. I think I might just use it.
I absolutely would. You can't believe the difference. Like I say, some of your translations were, your articulations were exceeding the actual word. It's like the wind noises were distorting the audio louder than the actual words that you were projecting.
Roger. Anyways, my ALC is up to 2/3, and I'm just running 100 watts right now.
Roger, your dynamic range is about 2.5 dB, so it's a nice fat signal, Roger.
Okay, very good. I hope all is well, Jim.
Roger, your limiting points are just perfect. There's very little blow-by.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Roger, Roger. And that, like I say, that windscreen, I'd take a little tie wrap and tie it to the microphone. I know you're only borrowing it, but it just makes a 300% difference, Roger.
Okay, very good. I think I will use it from now on this radio.
People will be saying, my God, it's such a beautiful voice. I never heard it before like that.
Okay, very good. You sold me.
Roger, Roger. Three's that way, sir. Thanks for checking in. If you get a chance, give us a shout next Friday. I would love to hear from you, Roger.
73, Jim.
73s, and gosh, we are 4 minutes into becoming Pumpkin. We'll take one more if there's somebody out there that wants to get in on the QSO-VLOG. Give us a shout.
WB Kilo Golf 4, Mike Golf
Sugar.
Bravo.
Something Bravo.
Kilo Golf 4, Mike Golf Bravo.
Roger, Roger, sir. What's the name there?
The name is Dave. The location is Northern Virginia, about 30 miles west of D.C.
Roger, Dave. Good signal, good sound, Roger. Maybe I spoke too soon.
No, I appreciate the call. Appreciate the signal report. The audio sounds fine?
It does. I would always recommend a couple of clicks more EQ on the top end, but other than that, I think it's excellent.
Very good. Operating a ancient machine here, a JST 245. I absolutely love it.
Seems to be doing beautiful. What's the vintage on it?
Ooh, I think mid-80s.
Roger, Roger. Well, it's just beautiful. I guess it's kind of like my Yaesu 990, although my 990 has been pretty well modified coming and going, Roger.
This is pure stock as far as I know, although I'm the second owner, so I believe it's original.
Roger, your modulation dynamic range is about 2.5 dB, so it's just a very fat signal, Roger.
Appreciate that, and first time I've heard you guys. I'll tune in the future. Thanks for coming back. I know you're over time, so I'll say 73s, and good weekend to you.
Okay, come back slowly, phonetically with your call sign and name.
Kilo Golf 4, Mike Golf Bravo. His name is Dave, Delta Alpha Victor Echo.
Roger, sir. Three's that way. Good sound. And if you get a chance, drop by next Friday. We usually end here between 3:30 and 5 Friday afternoons, and we do Aircheck the whole time and then post it up on YouTube. So if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, you could go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll find a session that's called My Group Aircheck 3/1/19. Today's date, 3/1/19, my group Aircheck. So 3's Dave, and then we'll catch you later. It's KC9VKV, and that will conclude our QSO-VLOG network for the time this Friday afternoon, and we will be back on next Friday between 3:30 and 5, so join us then. Between now and then, 3's, and have a good weekend. This is KC9VKV, and we'll be clear.